Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. I am your host, April DeMille, and today please help me welcome Mary-Beth Newell. She is a registered nurse with a master's degree in science and a best-selling author. So let's give her a round of applause. Hey, lady. So I was just telling everybody that you are a registered nurse with your master's degree in science and a best-selling author. So that's some pretty cool stuff. Um, so thank you for being here, but also how did you get into all of this?
Well, I think I became a nurse because I'm fascinated by how the body works. So I became a nurse, a registered nurse, because I was interested in the body. And then the graduate degree was, again, just being kind of a nerd, wanting to know more about how the body works. And then as far as writing the book, for years, people, when they found out how old I was, they would say, "Well, what are you doing?" And I used holistic, natural methods to maintain my youthfulness. So when I would tell them, people repeatedly would tell me you should write a book. So after about 15 years of hearing that,
They had to really drive it in there.
I decided, okay, maybe I'll write a book. And so
Hmm.
I wrote the book, and everything in the book is natural, holistic, and it's everything that I have tried and I believe works. So,
Can you share the title with the book for us, and then also I'll have another question after that.
okay, it's called Anti-Aging and Secrets of Healthy Living to Stop the Clock.
Nice. So you said that it's a lot of your experiences and like what worked. Were there any moments that you were like doing things that I'm sure that didn't work that you were like, yeah, this
Yes.
isn't okay. Okay. Do you share any of that stuff in the book too, or is it mostly focused on just the things that work?
Well, no, probably the most significant thing was, Retin-A is the gold standard for skincare. So I was using my Retin-A and using it. Of course, Retin-A helps to shed the skin. I went on a cruise, April, and people kept on telling me, you have crumbs on your face.
Oh no. Were
It
you
wasn't
out in the
crumbs.
sun or something?
It was the retin-A. I was using it too much. So if you use retin-A,
Oh.
you have to ease into the use. If you use too much, your face is gonna flake more than you want it to.
So that's
So
really weird. I have to be honest about my experiences with beauty. I have none, right? So I have never been one for face creams and all the things. However, last year I got this little bitty like retina stick for like under eye stuff. Never tried it, never like had no, research into this. And I was putting it under my eyes just to like give it a shot. And my eyes broke out in a rash, like one of them on one side. And I was like,
Mhm.
what is happening? So I've never used it since. I don't know if that's just me being sensitive because I'm such a sensitive little wussy to everything, or if it's potent stuff. I have no idea.
Retin-A is very potent, so you need to
Okay.
start with a very, very low dose of it. Now, sometimes if you get things over the counter, it's a lower than if you're getting the prescription strength, but you can't just jump into the highest level. You
Yeah.
have to sort of build up and see if your makeup, I mean, on your gene makeup, not the makeup you put on you,
Right.
is your sensitivity. Not everybody can progress to the highest levels of retin-A. You need to
Yeah.
see what your body can tolerate.
Yeah. And so I have no background in this. What's the science behind why this works?
Well, it helps to shed the skin. Okay. So it has exfoliating properties. It also helps to uh, build collagen. So
Oh,
it helps
okay.
your collagen, and then you don't see the lines as much. It sort of plumps up your face and gets the collagen going.
Yeah. So was there ever a practice that you were like, I'm never going to try this again? Did you ever have a moment like where you like, this was stupid and this did nothing? I'm never trying this again.
Nothing that I really have in the book. I would
Okay.
say no. I think if anything, I probably just modify things. And I know there are
Okay.
things that I haven't tried that I don't necessarily want to. Um, I'd be really careful. When I say natural and holistic, that means I haven't utilized plastic surgery. I haven't tried Botox. I haven't tried fillers. And the one thing, and now I'm not opposed to other women doing that if they
Yeah.
want to, but the one thing I do stress to people is if you are going to go any of those routes, you need to make sure you're dealing with a board certified dermatologist or plastic surgeon. And really, they say start low, go slow. So
Okay.
sometimes people, unfortunately, if they're not going to someone who's really talented and they do too much, they almost have a bizarre look to their face. Have you ever seen people that almost are like clown-like looking? And I
I'm going to
think
be
it's
really
because,
polite right now and just agree without saying too
okay,
much. I'm just going to be
okay,
like, yep, yes.
yeah.
No shame. I mean, we all have to learn, but
Mhm.
I've definitely seen things like that where it's like that stands out as awkward and not so natural for sure.
Mhm. Now, some of the things, April, that I've done that really get you very similar results without injecting yourself with stuff, but I have used facial acupuncture for about 15 years.
Yeah, but
So,
acupuncture is awesome and it helps with all
mhm.
kinds of stuff.
And there's a form, the form that I use for my face is called Mazen, is
Okay.
what it's called. If you go to an acupuncturist, you say, "Hey, tell me about this Mazen thing."
Yeah.
But it means beautiful on the inside and the out. So not only is my acupuncturist sticking needles in my face, she senses my energy. So sometimes she might stick, I never know why. She'll stick needles in my foot, my tummy, my arms,
Yeah.
but uh, you know, only gone to two in my life because once they get to know you, they can, and it's really because I
Right.
lived in two different states.
Yeah.
So once you go to someone, and I really like that, especially when I was like super, super busy in my life
Yeah.
because they put the needles in you and then you have to like lay there for 30 minutes. And of course,
hmm
it's better if you
hmm
can really relax and try to let the energy flow. So sometimes in my life, when I was so busy, that was the only time I really had to relax all day. And I
Right.
took full advantage of it.
Yeah, and
And then,
I love that they were being intuitively led and just knew where to support you.
and then there's also red light therapy. And it's becoming more popular with the commercials. They show the masks that people can
Yes.
use.
Yeah.
And I've been using red light therapy for a while. So some of the stuff I'll use, then maybe I won't use it for a while, and then I go back to it. Um, and so you can either do the facial mask, and I've done that, but you want to make sure you get your neck too, so it's not like a before and after. But I really like the panels. I've
Okay.
gone between the two. Red light therapy has a ton of health benefits, not just in, again, it helps to sort of get the collagen going. It helps with healing.
Yeah.
It can, reduce pain. But the thing I like about the panels is you can use it on other parts of your body if you want, where the facial masks are really hard if you want to try to put it on a different section of your body.
Yeah. I feel like this started happening, I guess maybe what year is this? I'm like, what year is this? 2019, 2020. I was losing weight and trying to gain some power back in my life, right? Like take some power back and dive into my health. Um, and I started losing weight and I got the crepey neck. Like I feel like I
Oh,
walk around with like a turkey waddle all the time. So I'm
hmm.
like, one of those things that I've even been interested in is like, how do I get rid of this saggy shit hanging below my face? Like, what is happening? And so like I've always open to hearing suggestions about that too. So you're saying red light and I wonder how much acupuncture would even help with something like that.
It may. And then there are, I don't know why we don't talk about it more, but there are exercises for your face.
I've
Just
heard
like we
that.
do exercises to tone our arms or our
Hmm.
legs or our tummy. There are facial exercise. The easiest one is, and it's so funny because you think back to your childhood when you were learning your vowels
Hmm.
and repeat, you'd say A-E-I-O-U,
Yeah.
A-E-I-O-U. You
Yeah.
had to memorize it.
Yeah.
But if you really exaggerate that and you say your vowels like A, E, I, O, U, you can
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
it toning up your face.
Yeah.
And then, there are some other exercises that you can be doing, that could help with the neck as
It's
well.
like face yoga,
Yeah,
basically.
that's a good way of
Face
saying it.
face yoga.
Yeah.
I've also actually heard chewing gum is really good for stuff like that. Unfortunately, that's not an option for me, but I've heard that people, use that to strengthen your jaw and all the things. So yeah,
It makes sense.
it totally
Makes
does.
perfect sense.
It totally, absolutely does. Yeah. So, what would you say? I mean, I know that you've always been interested in RN and the scientific approaches, but what kind of shifted you into like, let me dive a little deeper into the anti-aging holistic stuff? What was that the catalyst for that pivot kind of?
Well, I think getting older.
Okay, I mean that's fair.
Yeah. I have to tell you, when I was a teenager, I remember this distinctly. I saw it was back then you'd go to the malls. The malls aren't as popular now as they were. I'm almost 65. So that was a long time ago when I was a teenager. But going to the mall was a big deal. And I saw this beautiful woman going in. She was probably about 35. And I mean, she had shorts on, but she was absolutely stunning until I saw the back of her. And I'm like,
Oh,
ugh,
okay.
it's like, okay, maybe your shorts should have been lower. But then I thought, I want to look like that, but I want to look good from the big, the front and the
You're like, I want
back.
to be equally good looking on all angles.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I think that sort of stuck in my mind, but I've always almost had to do exercise because if I don't exercise, I get crabby. And I get to the point I don't even want to be around myself. It's like, ew.
Yeah.
So the exercise for the endorphins, it was more my mental health,
Yeah.
but then it helps to um, control your weight. Obviously, you're burning
Yeah.
calories, you're trying to stay healthy. I think my book is focused on like five different areas. So there's exercise, nutrition, skincare, self-care, and hair and makeup ideas.
Okay.
That's the fun part.
I mean, that's still
But
self-care. It's still all part of the package
mhm,
deal. Yeah.
yeah. But as far as nutrition, it's as I got older, really learning about, what is the importance of hydrating yourself, why you
Hmm.
might want to avoid sugar. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, I'd have as a young adult, when I
Hmm.
was out on my own, I'd call it a goody dinner. I would have like ice cream and cinnamon roll,
Right.
That's
Brownies and ice cream for
horrible
dinner.
for you.
Yeah.
Not good at all. But I think as you get older and you get to know your body a little bit more and what you eat, and then you say, how do I feel afterwards? So if you take
Right.
in sugar, you might get that little bit of a sugar high, but then how do you feel 2 hours later? Are you like
When you get to
crashing,
crash.
or
Yeah.
you start to feel kind of depressed?
Yeah.
And it's like, um, empty
Cranky.
calories. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have a treat,
Hmm.
now and then, but really trying to watch how much sugar you can take in. A lot of people call it the white death,
Yeah. Oh,
because
yeah, totally.
it does negative things to our body, even
Hmm.
our heart muscles. There's a protein it interferes with, and people who take in a lot of sugar obviously have a higher risk for diabetes. So trying to adjust and have less sugar, and it's not easy if you're used to taking in a lot of
Yeah.
sugar. You
Yeah.
like it, your body's used to it. You almost go through like a withdrawal
Oh man,
as you're
totally.
easy.
I
Hmm.
remember this is such a relevant subject because so in 2019, I went through this massive shift in like my health and, trying to take control of that back. And one of the things was I had been diagnosed, I think in 2015 or 16, I was type 2 diabetes, right? So they had me on metformin. And I couldn't, none of the doctors could figure out what's going on with me. Like my whole body was like shutting down and fucking off, basically. And so I basically had to like go through that journey on my own without the support of um, clinical help because the doctors, it was just baffling. But one of the things that I had stopped doing right away was all sugar intake, all gluten, all soy, all dairy, all at the same time. It was all so my body went through hell trying to
Oh,
like detox and like all the herxing that came with that. But now, like years later, um, I still am like completely sugar free. I
mhm.
think the closest amount of sugar I would get would be from a banana. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
well,
yeah,
good for you.
like super
You might
sugar.
feel better too.
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot different than I did then, that's for sure. But it's definitely life altering when you make those decisions.
Well, I know for myself, and I don't know why I still do it every now and then. If I go to the grocery store, I will not buy ice cream for $7 for a little container. But if it's two for one, I do. But I repeatedly I eat it all in like 3 or 4 days, and I'm the only person in my house. So I get two of them and I eat it all. And it's like, okay, I just have to stop doing this, even though, so I should probably get it when my grandchildren are coming over so they can eat most of it and I could just have a treat now and then. But yeah, like I'd say it's a journey of, what you learn. I think some of the things that came a little bit later for me was more of the self-care
Yeah,
aspects,
yeah.
or um, as I've gotten older, trying to get quality sleep. When I went through menopause, it was just absolutely awful. I
Yeah.
would wake up wide awake at like
Oh.
2 or 3 in the morning,
So
and I work.
I'm not in menopause yet, but I'm like perimenopause and I still go
Yeah.
through stuff. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
So then trying to focus on, okay, how can I improve this? I know there's negative, health consequences, but sometimes your body, you just have to say, okay, how do I have to reprogram my body so
Yeah.
that I can be healthier in my habits and practices?
Yeah. And I love that you talk about self-care. Can you expand on that a little bit and talk about like some of your favorite, like your most
Hmm.
favored self-care like routines or rituals?
Well, I one of them that I still sort of struggle with a little bit now. I'm better because I'm more aware of it, is saying no.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's such a good one. That's
women
actually
in
my favorite one.
general, yeah, women in general, that being a nurse, you take care of all these other people, and it's like, how do you say no?
Hmm.
For me, without feeling guilty. And now
Yeah.
there are other people that they don't hesitate. No, I can't do it. And I'm like, that's not me. If somebody's asking me to do something and I really don't want to do it, but I don't want to let them down. So, one of the things that I have learned is to say no, but say what you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say your friends want to go out
Here's where my
on.
flexibility is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So let's say your friends want to go out on a Thursday night, and that's going to be 4 or 5 hours to go to dinner and maybe have some wine and everything. And you just say, "Yeah, I don't want to. My life is so busy. Maybe you just want to spend Thursday night by yourself and go to bed early or watch something on Netflix for yourself."
Yeah.
So instead of just saying no, I might say, "Well, I can't make it Thursday, but what about coffee on Saturday?"
Yeah.
Or in 2 weeks we can get together, so that it helps me to feel less guilty
Hmm.
saying no. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that I call it in my book, no woman is an island. And a lot of times, what I've done is I want to be independent. I don't want to have to rely on other people. But what I do is I should be asking other people for some help. And I don't, I mean, and something as simple as where I live, they'll pick up lawn clippings, but it has to be in this blue barrel. Okay,
Okay.
like a
Yeah.
garbage can barrel.
Yeah.
Well, I have one. And sometimes when I go, I might have 4 barrels worth of lawn clippings. And so I fill it up and drag it out the next week, fill it up and drag it out. Now, my neighbor has 8 blue barrels. And I'm sure I could go over there and say, Chuck, can I borrow some of your blue? And he wouldn't mind, you know. But I think in a way, it's learning to ask other people for assistance. And
Right.
sometimes when you're independent, and my thing is, I don't want to bother people,
So
but
do you
you,
recognize like the toxic independence to some degree? Is that kind of like where
mhm,
you're, yeah, okay. Yeah.
yeah, or even running around like a chicken with your head cut off. If you have a friend coming over for dinner,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my God, I need the broccoli. So now this I've gotten a little better at. Instead of frantically running out to the grocery store and wondering if you're going to get home in time before the guest gets there and everything, is just texting them or calling and saying, hey, can you pick up the broccoli? And
Yeah.
then, sure, I'll do it. And then it reduces your stress level, your cortisol.
Yeah.
Um, and I think sometimes realizing that th- I didn't make up this phrase, somebody else did, but they said you can have it all, you just can't have it all at once.
It's
So,
so true. Like, I
mhm,
think that even when we sit in a moment and we're focused on like manifesting our reality and how we're supposed to be able to get everything we want, I think that that's true. I do think that it's filtered because there is such a thing as overwhelm and too much all at once. Like I don't think we're really designed to do it all at once,
mhm,
for reasons like our biologics or our cortisol levels or this or that or whatever. Like we're not. I don't think we're engineered to do it all at once.
mhm, mhm. So, trying to prioritize what is important. Um, and I've had to learn to do that because if you try to do a little bit of everything, you're not really getting very good at anything.
Well, that's true
So,
too, because then you
mhm,
kind of actually suck at all of those things because you're not 100% in all of them, in any of
mhm,
them. Like you're just so you're stretched so thin that how are you really being present and fully, fully in the moment with any of one of those things?
mhm. But I think it takes time to sit down and realize that, and then
Hmm.
say, what is a priority for me?
Hmm.
And like when I was writing my book, it took me 18 months, but it's like after a while, it's like, okay, I don't want to go and do this. I don't want to go and do that. It's like, this is important for me to prioritize. And because I work full time, I was doing some writing in the evening, but most of it was on the weekends. And it's like, no, I need to free up my weekends. And I think once you decide what your priority is, then it makes it easier to say no to some of the other things. Now, certainly there are times that maybe I wanted the whole weekend to myself, but my grandson was playing football or something, so I wanted to go to
Yeah,
the game. But you have to make choices in what you're doing and just realize you can't do it all.
yeah, for sure. So with your book, when did you finish writing it, by the way?
I finished writing it in the beginning of 2024, and
Okay.
then it was released in September. So
Okay.
you can finish writing something, but then the graphics and getting it published and
Hmm.
everything
Yeah.
can take a while.
For sure. So, what would you say your biggest takeaways were after writing that book? Like after the journey of and the discipline that came with
Mhm.
knocking that out? And are there any other books coming up?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is writing it was the easy part. I didn't
Okay,
even realize it.
that's the
It's like
takeaway.
afterwards, it's like, oh my goodness. Then it's like you have to learn something completely new as far as, how are you going to get it published? And then
Right.
when you decide that, how are you, what's the marketing? What are different things to do? And there's all kinds of people coming at you once you start researching this, and then having to try to learn all about that. I was lucky that I had a friend of mine that had published some books, and I finally called her and said, "Hey, can you give me some advice here? Because I'm not sure which route to go." So she did give me a lot of good advice. So, and then there is another book that I have an outline for that I'm going to be writing, and it's really geared more towards the older woman that is 60 and you're single, and addressing things that are more specific to that age group, where my first book is open to really anyone.
Yeah.
Even younger people are like, "Hey, I want to know what you were doing,"
Yeah,
so
for
that
sure.
I have a jump on things versus focusing on aspects that, you know, a 60 or older woman would want to know about.
So, with that being said, what do you think are most, I guess maybe I'm gonna say the general population's fear of aging. Like, where do you think that comes from? Like, what's that? What do you think that's all about?
You mean as far as people being
Ye-
interested in
No,
it?
like I no, the opposite. I feel like a lot of people there's this shadow that looms over aging, like it's such a disgrace or it's so scary or
Oh,
it's so. What do you think that's really all about? And how do you think that people could maybe look forward to aging instead?
I think things have significantly changed from when I was a teenager or a young adult. I mean, when I was younger, the Golden Girls, and
Yes.
those women were like 55. You look at them now, you think, oh, they're probably like 75 in today's. But I think having more positive images and
Yeah.
role models for aging, and that, if you're 50 or 60 or 70, that doesn't mean that your life is over, and that you
Yeah.
can still be vibrant and look good, that there's, you don't have to turn into this gray-haired grandma if you don't want to,
Yeah.
so that, and I think just having healthy habits. I mean, I think back to my mother, and when she would make now it was really good, her meatloaf, but she also stuck an entire stick of butter on it when it was in
Yeah.
the oven. So, I mean, some of these things are just, if, if you know how to eat better, exercise,
Yeah. Like your quality of life.
yeah, we're a completely different generation than what my mom was.
Yeah.
Her exercise was using the vacuum cleaner in her heels.
Yeah. I think that that's one of the things that I struggle with, even me personally, is like society says beauty has to look this way. But I think there's something so beautiful and so profound in aging because that's when I think people peak into their most creative period, actually.
Mhm.
I think there's so much more. I know people think that you lack independence. Honestly, I feel like there's so much more independence and so much more creative power that behind that. And you think about like all the, I don't know, I just feel like it could be such a beautiful thing.
Well, I had a boyfriend once that was from France. And he said something to me, and I actually have it in the book. I call it Secrets the French Women Know. But
Okay.
he was amazed and almost appalled by American women, because he said American women follow whatever the trend is. They don't have their own unique style. And so they just chase after whatever the trends are.
Right.
And he said that French women will figure out what their best feature is, whether it's their hair, their eyes, maybe they have a great figure, but whatever it is, they master it to perfection and they are confident. And I think, April, the thing that as women get older, a lot of times we gain in our confidence. And if you are confident, you are sexy. It doesn't
True.
matter
Yeah.
what you look like because
Yeah.
you exude this confidence
Yeah.
that draws people like a magnet to you. So whether you're, beautiful on the outside, or maybe you look different than the traditional idea of beauty, if you can focus on figure out what sets you apart and then be very confident, then you have it made.
For sure. I mean, I guess that's like just your own sense of inner authority.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. That's God, that's so true. So couple questions for you. Um, would you say that when you were kind of unfolding this journey, were there any
Mhm.
like nudges or synchronicities, intuitive hits that kind of was like pushing you towards like writing the book and developing, the anti-aging secrets? Were there things that came up around that you were like, okay, this is where I'm going. This is the direction. Other than the
Well,
fact that everybody had said it to you for 15 years.
right. Well, I think some of it was I thought everyone knew what I knew. With obviously they didn't, and so I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
necessarily want to just keep it to myself. It's
Right.
like, as I just grew up, I'm like, okay, well, everyone's going through the same experiences, and when I realized they didn't,
Yeah.
then I thought, it's almost selfish to
Oh,
keep.
right. So then it's like, I've got to fill the need. There's a need here
Mhm.
that is, there's a need that to be met here.
And I throughout my life, I've always been good at writing,
Okay.
so I mean, I can do research papers really good. I can write. I wish I could dance and sing. I can't. That's not my talent. So when I realized that I wanted to share the knowledge, having the ability to be a writer, and not everybody can be a writer. Some
Right.
people have fabulous voices or whatever, but I thought, you know what, I really need to share it with people
Yeah.
instead of just keeping it to myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that's pretty important for you to have that awareness too, because like we are all so talented and it would be a shame for it to go to waste if we don't like voice our talents and put them out there, to help support the world somewhere. Everybody's in need of support somewhere. So all the stuff you're putting out there, someone's in need of for sure.
But you were asking about one of the things related to self-care that came a little bit later to me is changing your frame of reference. So if
Mm-hmm.
you now, I really regret sometimes that maybe I wasn't as nice as I could have been.
Everybody
But
has those
yeah,
moments.
yeah. But let's say you have a crabby sales lady, or someone cuts you off in traffic. And, most people naturally will just respond in more of a defensive way. You're going to be crabby, I'm going to be crabby back.
Right.
And I really had to, and I didn't like myself. If I was crabby to somebody else, it's like I didn't like
Yeah,
that.
you didn't love
So
it.
it's like what can I do differently?
Yeah.
And so it was thinking, and then, if I was crabby, then I thought about it afterwards. What can I be doing differently? I didn't like that. But trying to be more compassionate to people, you never know what's going on in their
Mhm.
lives. And if somebody is really crabby with you, I mean, maybe they're just a negative Nelly, but you don't know. Maybe they're worried about their bills. Maybe somebody's sick. Maybe they had an argument with their partner that they're still upset about.
Yeah.
Um, of just trying to be kind to that person, or sometimes I'll just take some deep breaths and say, it seems like you're having a bad day. I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
And, someone might actually start crying because nobody was being nice to them. And I think just trying to, um, like I said, just be more compassionate. If somebody's cutting you off, well, did they do that on purpose? Or maybe they didn't see you. And where I live really close to a hospital, just a couple blocks away. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
somebody cuts you off, it could be they're rushing to the hospital
Yeah.
and they didn't see you. Or where I live there's a lot of tourists, so maybe, oh my god, we have to make a left hand turn.
Yeah.
And just trying to wish, okay, I hope you get to wherever you're going safely and
Yeah.
not injure anybody. There is a I saw it years ago, and it's still, I can feel like the chills on me from this video that I saw. It was actually the Cleveland Clinic, and I think it's titled Empathy, but it's like maybe a 10-minute video, and it's just, well, music that makes you want to cry, but
Okay.
it's showing people in the Cleveland Clinic, and it has little things like just found out they have cancer, or a little kid, bringing Joey to say goodbye to dad,
Oh,
or, just found out the wife is pregnant. So it's like you see all these people in your life, but you have no idea what's going on with them, whether it's something positive or negative. And that helped me to just say, oh, I mean, you need Kleenex at the end of the
for
video,
sure. Yeah.
but I think it helps to sensitize you.
Yeah.
And, it might take a while to sink in, but I think trying to sensitize people and how to be more kind or compassionate is always good.
Yeah, I actually have some words on that. I for one, I have to honor and be grateful for people like you that are taking in that information and practicing the kindness because it makes such an impact in such a loving way in the world every day. Everybody needs that grace. And it also reminds me in the moments when I myself get desensitized because I've been through some very traumatic things in my life, and um, and a lot of people have, but I can honestly say I've been through some crazy shit. And one of the hardest things that I had lived through was the death of a child. And when you go through something so traumatic like that, it it does kind of desensitize you in a way. And it's not because like I go out of my way to be a dick, but it's because sometimes when I hear um some people's like life struggles, I go, "Psh, that's nothing," right? Because to me, that's nothing.
Right.
That's fucking
Because you went through
nothing.
something
Really?
major.
Right. Like
Mhm.
that, what? We're upset about what? Are you serious? But that's where I struggle and I have to, center myself and be like, oh yeah, but to them, this is a huge fucking thing. Just because their life path wasn't as shitty as mine doesn't mean that their
Mhm.
struggles are
Mhm.
any less important or less valid. And I have to remember a lot of times, oh yeah, just because they weren't homeless and they weren't on, they weren't abandoned by family or on drugs or, beat up or losing children, whatever it was,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that their issues aren't so big for them. And so a lot of
Mhm.
times I have to go, oh yeah, yes, you're right. And I have to like remind myself this is where I get to be compassionate. And this is why I was chosen to step into this role because I can be compassionate. And I'm glad that I'm reminded to do that sometimes because I need it too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, correct. So I'm glad you realized that. I'm sorry for the things that you went through, but I'm sure it makes you a stronger person.
For
And
sure. For sure. I mean,
mhm,
that doesn't mean I don't like complain about it all the time because I do. I'm still human and I'm like, this is stupid. But yeah, yeah, for sure. I do still appreciate the reminders of being compassionate and being more sensitive, because I need them all the time too.
yes.
Yeah. So, quick question for you. Um, do you have a routine or a ritual, something that you just really favor that no matter what's going on in life, you cannot skip, no matter what?
I would say um, really exercising and
Okay,
moving.
that's the one.
It is, yeah, it's important to me. I mean, even if it's like raining, and I use a fitness tracker, I like to, I have a very goal-oriented person. So part of that is with my fitness. Now, I'm not totally crazy about getting 5 miles a day in. So if I
Right.
don't get it, I mean, but I do try. So because I know that exercise for me releases endorphins, it reduces stress, I'll sleep better, and I'll feel better overall. Even though sometimes I just don't even feel like it, or it's raining all day, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to go out when it's pouring down rain, but I'll walk around the house, okay,
Yeah.
and get my steps in, or I like to do, and I keep an old-fashioned calendar, that you every month. And I marked in, I do strength training, and I started this about 3 years ago. And every week, it's on a Thursday when I started it, I'll say one, two, I think I'm up to like 147 weeks that I have been doing this,
Okay.
where I will do 15 minutes of strength training every day. Now, if I miss a day, I make up for it either the next day or the next several days because I do like 2 8-minute strength training videos a day. But
Okay.
that's very important to me to do that, to feel better. And as women get older, a lot of times they want you to do a bone scan to make
Yeah.
sure you're not getting osteopenia, osteoporosis. So they did it, and they were surprised. I had very strong bones from the time, I mean, from when I was first a nurse. It's like, I don't want a broken hip, I'm going to make sure I'm doing, weight bearing exercises.
Yeah.
But when I introduced, really got very serious about strength training with weights, and of course, you have to build up. You just can't start using 10 pounds, and
Right.
doing all these exercises. Start out with two, then five, then seven,
Yeah.
build up to 10. But when I went back the year after, they wanted to do it again. After I started doing my strength training, my bones actually got stronger. And when I initially had it done, they said I had the bones of a 25-year-old.
Nice.
So that is something. And I'm sort of a runner. I've done running and marathons in the past, but what I do more recently is my granddaughter likes to, she's in a running club, and she's like, "Oh, Gramby, will you go with me on this, turkey trot and the different things that they do?" So I signed up and went with her, and I found it was amazing just from the strength training, my endurance. I was faster. I didn't feel bad afterwards. Like a lot of times after you do a run, you're all achy and it takes a couple days. So I am like a believer with
Yeah.
strength training. I knew it was good for you. I didn't realize how good it was for you until I had some personal experiences with
Yeah.
it.
I would say that I had started really getting into strength training. Oh God, what month is this? I always forget where I'm at. Oh yeah, so this would have been like last year when I started really diving into it. Um, and I noticed right away such a difference. And I was going about 4 or 5 days a week. Um, and I was really like really best addiction ever. Best addiction ever. But what happened was I had COVID and a surgery, and all these things happened. And now my body hates me. And I've got long
Yeah.
COVID symptoms and all the things. So I have not been back to the gym since January, and I'm
Mhm.
not in a place yet where my body will tolerate that again yet. Like my body's still really pissed off at me. So I'm like, I wish my body would just get over this shit because I do miss being in the gym and being able to build strength and having the discipline and the confidence and the endorphins and all the things that come with it. It is so important. And right now, my body is just feeling like I detrained, So like
Mhm.
I'm feeling the frailty. I'm like, oh, this
Oh,
super
yeah.
sucks. Yeah. So I'm just like chomping at the bit. Come on, let's get better. I have shit to do. So it's really hard to be patient with my process right now.
Well, and sometimes you have to be
I
with,
know.
and that's the perfect word is process or journey that I think
Hmm.
sometimes people try to go gung ho on stuff, especially like beginning of the year when people make New Year's resolutions. And I
Yeah.
think it's better just to um, start out with small steps
Hmm.
and master the small because then it becomes more of a habit for you and it's something you're going to stick with longer than if you go gung ho and either you don't have the time or you don't like the way your body feels because you're overstressing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, to start out and pick something that you want to do, but ease into it, and then you can improve
Yeah.
as your body accommodates it.
Yeah, totally. You can build on. You can always build onto it. As opposed to like starting off too strong and fucking yourself up worse. That's
Yeah.
always, yeah, that's always fun. Yeah. So, do you think that aging gracefully could be considered a spiritual initiation?
Yes, I do. I think because if you're aging gracefully and whatever that means to people, some people like to embrace their gray hair or just say, I'm totally comfortable with myself the way I am. And everyone really should get to the point that they're comfortable with themselves the way they are. But I think, yeah, spiritually, there is a shift. I think especially women, when you're a teenager or in your early 20s, you're worried about what other people think. And,
Hmm.
we probably look the best we ever do, from a physical perspective, but the confidence isn't there.
For sure. They
People
don't
are
line
very,
up.
yeah, you're insecure, you're trying to please everybody else, and as you get older. But yeah, I do think there is a spiritual element, and I think it's important. That's one of and however spirituality resonates with people. It may be organized religion, it may be doing meditation, it may be watching a fabulous sunrise or sunset or being on a mountain. I do think having some greater sense than yourself
Yeah.
is important. I think it grounds you,
Yeah.
it makes you relatable to other people. And I think, in a way, it keeps you from being selfish or narcissistic.
Or just
If
too
you think there's,
isolated even.
yeah, hmm
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I would agree with that. Do you have any last words of wisdom or advice that you would like to give our audience?
Well, I think, like I mentioned, trying different things and not trying to do too much at once. I think there are two areas that we didn't really touch on today, but that's fine.
Do you
People
want
can
to
get the
touch
book.
on do you want to touch on them
Yeah.
some real quick before we wrap up?
Yes. So
Okay, let's
one
do that.
is hydration.
Okay.
I say water is liquid gold, and I know not everybody likes to drink water, but there's different ways that you can drink it. But if you have even a 2% loss of or less water in your system than what you have, it affects your response time, your immune system, and cognition. So a
Okay.
lot of times at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, when people think, "Oh, I'm getting dragged out, I need a candy bar, I need a cup of coffee," really what you need is probably a glass of water.
Yeah.
And water does so much. It plumps up your skin. It keeps your brain sharp, your heart working at optimal speeds. But I think that's one thing that people don't pay enough attention to. And there's different things you can do. I like to have a glass of water at my bedside so that when I get up in the morning and I'm brushing my teeth, I'm washing my face, and doing stuff in my bedroom, I try to drink that glass of water before I have coffee, which dehydrates you, and then
Yeah.
trying to drink it during the day. But if you've ever been to a spa, you can't get enough of the water. It tastes so good, but it's because they put cucumbers or strawberries or something fun in it. You could do that yourself. You
Yeah,
don't
totally.
have to wait till you go to the spa. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is making sure that you get enough sleep and quality sleep.
Hmm.
It's amazing what happens to your body when you're sleeping. I say it's like a whole factory. So, but it's the night shift of the factory. Toxins are getting out of your body, the cells are
Yeah.
renewing. And if you don't get enough sleep, and I'm sure you've experienced this, April, if I don't get very good sleep, I am like ravenous the next
Oh,
day.
so I'm a fucking beast if I don't get enough sleep. Like I will
Yeah,
light someone up and not
yeah,
because they really even did anything, but look at me. Like I'm just like I want to strangle everybody if I'm not sleeping
yeah.
enough. Yeah.
Well, it's your hormones. Your
Yeah.
hormones are all flip-flopped because you're not getting good sleep.
Well,
So
because
I
the
think that's
rejuvenation's not happening.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. Absolutely. And I know there's some people that say, "Oh, I'll sleep when I die." Well, guess what? You're probably going to die
You're
early
gonna die sooner. Yeah.
because you're not
Yeah.
getting your sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I think those are two things that sometimes get overlooked, but are critically important, not only for how we look, but how your body works for you from the inside and the outside.
Yeah. And I actually have some insights that I'd like to offer and even ask you about while we're on here when especially when it comes to hydration. I only drink water, me specifically, and I learned the hard way that you can get too much. And I had made myself very sick actually getting too much. So I learned that you have to it took a long time for me to figure all this out. I had to play with it, but I did. There
Mhm.
was a time I was getting way too much. I wasn't absorbing enough nutrients because of it. I had all kinds of other issues happening because I was drinking way too much. But then, like right now, I drink about 80 ounces a day. But that I was almost at 2 gallons a day at one point, or like a gallon and a half at one point. This is getting way too much. So I had to
Mhm.
drop it down to like 80, 90 ounces a day. And I feel like that's a good number for me. But like if you go Google it, it says that I should only get like 60 ounces a day. Um,
Well, there's a formula, and the formula is minimum, minimum. So if you take your weight and you divide it by three, that would
okay.
be the absolute minimum. So
Minimum.
if you weigh
Okay.
120 pounds, you divide it by three, that's 40 ounces.
Hmm.
Now, if you're taking in anything that's going to dehydrate you, such as
Which I don't.
coffee
Yeah.
or salty foods, or you're exercising, or you're in a warm environment, you
Mm.
need to up it.
Okay.
So, like I said, that's the absolute
Well, I'm in
minimum.
Texas, so it's burning hell here all the time. So that's probably why I need more than 60 ounces.
Yes, right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I'm glad that you added that in there because I'm like, I know that I think I was going by the weight and it says you have to get half your weight in ounces. So it was like 60 or something like that. But I was like, I feel like I do really well if I stick around 80 or 90. That's what feels right to
Mhm,
me. So I just go with that.
mhm.
And so now that you added that in there, I'm like, well, that makes sense then. That explains that. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else that we did not cover that you would like to bring up before we say goodbye?
No, I don't think so. I think I really stress that everything is a journey, and you have to try different things and
Hmm.
see if it works for you.
Hmm.
Okay. And if it's something that's sustainable, that you can continue to do. And I think the important thing is not to beat yourself up if
Mm-hmm.
something doesn't work, or, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this, and it says I'm supposed to do it. It's like, find what works for you. And there's a lot of things that are out there, and feel good about your successes.
Yeah,
Sometimes people get upset and they say, "Oh, I was supposed to do strength training every day and I only did it 2 days." Well, guess what? You did it 2 days.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So feel good about what you're doing. And I think if you have more of those positive thoughts and turn those negative ones into positive, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. And you're not going to have all that cortisol that comes out when you're stressed about
Yeah.
things. So I think just maybe be kinder to ourselves, not just other people, but sometimes we're our worst critics.
Yeah, for sure. I know I can be really harsh on myself for sure. So, where can people find you the fastest online? I know that I'm going to put your links in the
Okay.
notes anyway, but if you have a preference on where people can find you the fastest, go ahead and throw it out there.
Well, I do have a website,
Okay.
marybethnewell.com. So there's that.
Okay.
And there's a free gift if anyone's interested. There,
Perfect.
there is like a little mini ebook. So if
Okay.
you're like, I don't know if I really I want to learn a little bit more, there's a mini ebook. And then I'm also on Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram, and LinkedIn, but probably the website and Facebook would be the two main areas that people can find me.
Okay. Perfect. I'm actually writing that down too. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop it here.
Okay.
So thank you again, Mary Beth, for being with us. I am very excited to put this episode out. And I wanted to say goodbye to our audience. Bye, you guys. We'll see you next time.